warming up with some beef broth this morning. I'm getting a little bit bored of water, so. So for those who don't know, the Lion Diet is a very simple elimination diet where you only eat ruminant animals, which that means animals with multi-chambered stomachs, and you only season them with salt, and then you drink water and nothing else. Now, the benefit of this diet is that you're eliminating all factors that could be causing reactions in your body that you don't know about. A lot of people have reactions to different plants and other foods and they don't realize how it's affecting them. So this is a great way to do a detox and figure out what foods your body can tolerate so that you can feel your best every day and so that you can heal your autoimmune disorders, your mental health issues, your diabetes. There are so many things that people have been able to heal almost anything with this kind of diet. It's really worth checking out if you are suffering and you feel like you need to make a change. Some people don't know how to approach this or don't know how to keep it interesting so that they don't grow bored and end up quitting before they see the benefits. So I've recorded a week of meals to give you kind of an idea of how to frame this and keep it kind of interesting, change it up a little bit. It does feature a lot of steak, but I don't know who'd be complaining about that. So I hope that you get some good information out of this, maybe some good ideas, and I'm just gonna show you this whole meal plan that I got going this week. Making meat bar. I'm just gonna salt this up a little bit, but not too much because I like to finish it with a finishing salt. It adds really nice flavor. I'm heating up some beef roast now. Got that delicious broth. And on the meat bar, what I did was I cooked it on broil for 10 minutes on each side. I don't have an air fryer, but this did get it crispy on the outside really nicely. And then I topped it with some smoked finishing salt. Really good. I love to put that on everything. Okay, so here I've got some tallow bark. I will link that recipe above. It's a good way to get in some extra fat. I have the meat bar with extra salt and then the beef roast. And that is my first meal. This is Crunchy Things. It probably shouldn't count as a meal, but this stuff is like crack and I always eat way too much of it. Very simple lunch. I've taken my pot roasted beef and I'm just heating it up, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with it for a good high fat lunch. So here I've got beef tendon that, if you didn't know, you can prepare it and fry it just like pork rinds. So I've got that for a nice little crunchy difference in texture. And then I made little beef crunchy fat sandwiches. So this is crispy fat, that is the outside, and then I just have some of my beef roast as the meat on the inside. And I got myself a little deli plate today. I've added some tallow bark to make sure I get plenty of fat in this meal today, and now I'm gonna go eat. There's always just the option of making a simple steak. This one was dry brined, and I don't know what cut it would be, but it came off the top sirloin roast. Okay, simple dinner. Steak with the rest of the crunchy beef on top, some crunchy beef fat, and then some beef roast. Delicious. Okay, I don't remember what number meal this is, but I think this is the third day. I am finishing off my beef roast, and I am going to add some crispy fat in there as well. It tastes really good when it soaks up the broth and everything. That way I can make sure I'm getting plenty of fat. A little tip to make meals easier is get some sort of decent chunk of meat and roast it up. This could last for 3 or 4 meals if you want to eat it as an entire meal, or it could be a side to meals. That's what I did the past few days, is I had it on the side. That way I could have a little different in texture during my meals. That's just a preference, but if you're someone who just wants something simple, of course it could just be a few meals for you. But it really makes this diet a lot easier to kind of meal prep some things that'll be easy to have. That way it's just easy for you to get some food in when you're hungry, and this would last for a few meals, so it's really worthwhile to do it. So I'm finishing off the last of it now, and then I'll show you what we're gonna have for the next meal. Chuck steak with crispy fat trimmings. A very affordable meal, and the trimmings help you get in extra fat, and they're delicious. Something I've really been enjoying for the lion diet is taking a cut of beef that's less fatty and making it into roast beef. So I soak it in salt water overnight, and then I take it out, dry it off a little bit, and put it in the oven and cook it on a low temperature to start, and then turn the temperature up because I want it to still stay pink in the middle. That's when it's like at its best texture, but then I want the outside to get a nice little cook on it. So I'm making roast beef right now. I'll show you the end product, but that is a fantastic, delicious recipe for the lion diet. I just suggest adding extra fat on the side, which I do with my crispy fat. So here is my finished roast beef. I'm just slicing it up, and I'm gonna keep it in the fridge pre-sliced. That way it's easy to grab when I want it. I can either eat it cold or warm it up. It's good both ways. Here's the other one. This is a really good thing to have on hand. It's low fat, so you want to make sure you're definitely adding fat to this, but it's a great thing to have on hand, a good side to meals, or something that's easy to munch on if you just need a little something more. So this and meat chips are some of my favorite things to have, and they've really helped me enjoy this diet a lot more. Okay, I know this is like the 5th or 6th steak for this week of meals, but it's super easy, convenient, and delicious. Who doesn't want to eat steak more often? That's how great this diet is. So this is just a chuck steak. I've got tons of chuck steaks, so you'll probably be seeing a few more of those. Overall, it's a solid dinner and a great thing to cook up in a pinch. And I mean, who doesn't love steak? For this meal, we're going to be cooking up this cut from my top sirloin roast. I'm not sure exactly what cut this is, but I mean, I think it is a sirloin. It's just, as you can see, there's not a lot of fat on it. So we're going to add fat to this meal. Here are my fat Crispies I just pulled out of the oven. Super easy to make. You just take some pure beef fat and put it in a container and toast it up. This took about 25 minutes to get here, but my oven is, I mean, it's a tiny oven, so it would really depend on how hot your oven is and how well it works. Okay, I've already eaten a few pieces of this fat because it's just so good, but this is kind of what you want to see. You want to have some extra fat if the piece of meat you're having is less fatty, because that fat is really where you're getting so many nutrients, so much healing, I found I feel eons better when I do higher fat versus higher protein. Doing the higher protein kind of feels similar to eating carbs to me. It's not exactly the same, but it's very similar, and I do end up having more mood problems when I'm eating lower fat. This fat is really helping. My body just feels so much better. I feel so much more full of energy and so much more clearer in the head when I go higher fat. So I highly suggest it, especially if you're someone who really struggles with carbs or insulin resistance in general. Stir-fried, thinly sliced beef. Super easy and super delicious and not too expensive. Here's the finished product. I love crisping it up in the pan. Now this is Wagyu beef, so it's going to be very fatty, but if you can't find a fatty piece, just add a little bit of fat to it. So I'm about to cut up this beef short plate. That is the part that comes from underneath the ribs, so it's really the belly, but it's usually connected to the ribs and then they cut it off. So I'm gonna slice this up into squares and then I'm gonna cook it low and slow, and I'll show you what it looks like. Here they are, all cut up and salted. I'm going to start by covering them and then cook them on a low heat, and then I'll take the cover off after maybe an hour or two and finish it on a nice broil setting. I've just been munching on these beef chips all day, and also this is the rest of my roast beef. I ate most of it earlier, but I was too full to finish the rest of it, and of course I had it with some fat to make sure I got plenty of fats in. Okay, so here is the short plate. I cooked it for 2 hours covered with foil on a low heat, and then I turned up the heat and took off the cover and cooked it for another 2 hours, and then just broiled it off a little. All that liquid is fat, so I'm gonna get lots of tallow out of this, which is a huge plus. Day 7, meal 1. I'm having my leftover roast beef mixed with the rest of the short plate. This is a lot of food, so I don't know if I'll finish it all, but there it is. And just a nice, good chuck steak for the last meal. Super easy, super delicious, and inexpensive. And that'll do it for this week of meals. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope it was helpful to you. I hope that there was enough variation or enough ideas that could help you understand how to go about doing this. And if you have any more questions about this diet, I will happily answer them in the comments. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you in the next video.